All right. The name is Delman, aka Four Eyes, the Ugly Professor. This video is brought to you on behalf of Old Heads Network. All right, I'm doing something different today. I'm not doing a review of a new album or an old album, but I am going to talk about an old album that just celebrated its 20th year anniversary about 2 weeks ago. And that's De La Soul's Grind Date. I have the album right here. This is a borderline classic in my opinion. If you don't have this joint, you should go listen to it on your streaming services. Very good album, underrated too. So that prompted me to do this video and give De La Soul their daisy, so to speak, and salute De La Soul. I think they don't get talked about as much as they should be. When I listen to these hip-hop podcasts, they don't really give De La Soul the full respect that I think they deserve. They kind of gloss over them. They speak on them, but not as highly as I think they should. And what else prompted me to do this video is we were having like a group text chat about their discography, which albums we think were the best in their catalog, so on and so forth. So De La Soul has 9 albums total. Their first one dropped in 1989, 3 Feet High and Rising. It's considered a classic by many. It's a staple in hip hop. And I think, now I'm not 100% sure, I could be wrong, but it feels to me, from my knowledge, and my knowledge goes back pretty far on hip hop, that they are the first ones to really do skits on the album. Like throughout the album, with a concept, they had a game show. They had game show skits all through the 3 Feet High and Rising album, and I had never heard nothing like that before prior to them. Now, I don't know for sure. I could be wrong. Somebody could have did skits on the album before them, but they, to me, seem to be the ones that made skits a thing in the album making process from there on out through the 90s and the 2000s. They made the skits a thing in hip hop, if you ask me. And to me, they also made the remix a prominent fixture in hip hop for like the 90s and the 2000s. They had the remix to Buddy, which was a hit. A lot of folks think Me, Myself, and I the only hit they had. No, Buddy was a hit too, and that was totally different from the original joint that was on the album. Had a totally different beat. They had features that wasn't on the original joint. I prefer the original Buddy more so than the remix, but the remix was a hit. That's the joint everybody knows. And from my lens, it seems like they made the remix a thing in hip hop, a prominent thing. I'm not saying they was the first to do a remix. And a lot of people want to credit Puffy for making the remix famous or making the remix what it was or what it is. No, to me, it was De La Soul with that Buddy joint. So I give them a lot of credit for that as well. And De La Soul is my second favorite group of all time. Personally, I put them right behind Outkast. I know I'm in the minority with that. I know a lot of folks got Tribe Called Quest and Wu-Tang Clan over them. But I have De La Soul over those two groups. And when it comes to them and Tribe Called Quest, I think they have a better discography than Tribe's. I know Tribe got the 2 monster albums, Low End Theory and Midnight Marauders, and I don't think any album De La Soul has is better than Midnight Marauders in my opinion. But De La Soul has classics too. And if you're matching up the first 3 Tribe albums with the first 3 De La Soul joints, Tribe is going to beat them. But after that, De La got Stakes is High. They got Bionics. They got Grind Date. Their joints, they kept the consistency going where Tribe started kind of like disappointing folks after Midnight Marauders with Love, Movement, and Beats, Rhymes, and Life. And if you trying to compare Stakes is High to Beat, Rhymes, and Life, Stakes is High will crush that joint. No doubt about that. So, and I even like Tribe's last album, We the People. But De La Soul just stayed consistent with their album making. They only had like one album that I was very disappointed with, and that's that Anonymous joint that they dropped. I think that was their last album, the Anonymous Nobody, dropped in 2016. I was disappointed with that album. But that's the only album they ever made that I didn't. So it wasn't bad, but I would call it mid. And that was the only like sort of mid album that they ever made, in my opinion. Like they had another joint that came out in 2012 called Plug 1 and Plug 2 Presents First Serve. But even though that's not a great album by no means, I did appreciate what they did. They was working with some, I think some producers in Europe, and Maceo wasn't even part of the album. So it felt like it was outside of their catalog, but you gotta still count it because it's a De La Soul album. But I really don't compare it to the rest of their albums because it was so calm. It was like a real conceptual album. It was like a story from beginning to end, and it felt separate from the rest of their catalog, if that make any sense. But anyway, I think their best album is De La Soul Is Dead. For years, I thought it was Stakes Is High. I had Stakes Is High as their best album overall, but as time went on and I got older, I started appreciating this joint more. This, to me, is their best album, De La Soul Is Dead. Love that album. That dropped in 1991. You got Balloon Mind State, I think is very underrated. When that first dropped in 1993, Balloon Mind State, I have to say I was a little disappointed. But over the years, I appreciated the album more, and it's like my third favorite De La Soul album. And you got Stakes Is High. Like I said, I thought Stakes Is High, that dropped in 1996. I thought that was their best album for a long time, until like maybe the late 2000s on up. I started appreciating De La Soul Is Dead more than that joint, but they like 1 and 2 for me. You know, they sleeper albums are like AOI Bionics that dropped in 2001. That was a good album. They had that joint Trying on there. That was a banger. They had a joint with CeeLo. That song with CeeLo was tight. It had some strong songs on there. The skits was funny. Reverend Do Good. They always great with the skits for the most part. Like the skits on De La Soul Is Dead still have me laughing to this day. This is another thing I give them credit for. They had a skit where this little kid, I'm guessing kid or teenager, finds a De La Soul Is Dead tape in the trash. And then these bullies take the shit from him and start playing it, and they start dissing the songs on the De La Soul Is Dead album. They start like going in on them, trashing the songs. Like, what are they saying? Like, I don't understand. Oh, this is garbage. And that was the first time I heard a group make fun or diss or criticize themselves on their own album. They kind of like made fun of themselves on their own album. No one had really did that before them. And that's one of the things I appreciated about them. They can make fun of themselves, where everybody had to be so egotistical and so gangster they couldn't like make fun of themselves or shit like that in that vein. So I give them credit for that. That's another reason why I like that album so much, because I still can laugh at them skits to this day. Like, even if you buy an album and the skits are funny, after some period of time, the skits just don't hold that weight no more. They don't make you laugh, or they don't amuse you as much as they did when you first heard them. But those skits still make me laugh and still entertain me to this day. So that's another reason why I really like that album. And I'm also going to say another sleeper album they made is the Grande joint that just celebrated the 20-year anniversary about 2 weeks ago from when this video dropped. That album dropped in 2004. And it has some great songs on there. Like it has the joint with MF Doom, rest in peace to MF Doom, a lot of rest in peace to Fife. When I was talking about Tribe, I didn't say that. A lot of rest in peace, too many. But they got a joint on there with MF Doom, rock, cocaine, flow. That joint is ugly face music. That shit still gets to me to this day. Every time I listen to it, I have to put it on repeat. They got Verbal Clap, which is produced by Dilla. That joint go. You got Much More. I think Dilla produced that joint too on there. They got Church, which Knife Wonder produced. That shit goes. They got a joint with Carl Thomas called It's Like That. I really dig that joint. They had a joint with Ghostface on there called He Comes. The joint with Common is nice. I like that song a lot. Days of Our Lives. The album is a banger. Very much slept on. I thought it was borderline classic. I go back and forth between Balloon Mind State and Grind Day as my third favorite De La Soul album. And another reason why I put De La Soul over Tribe, I forgot to mention this. I think Pastor Noose and Dave were better rappers than Q-Tip and Fife. That's no disrespect to Q-Tip and Fife, but I'm taking Dave over Fife, and I'm taking Pastor Noose over Q-Tip. And that's not to diminish Tribe, Q-Tip, or Fife, but that's another reason why I like De La Soul over Tribe. Just me. And their show performances, like I saw De La Soul like 3 times in the 2000s, and their show performances was tight, top notch. That's the thing about, I think the best time to have seen like artists from the 90s and 80s perform live was in the 2000s. I've seen some of the best shows in the 2000s because by that time, they're in their 30s, so they still young and vibrant and have a lot of energy on stage compared to like when they're in their 40s and 50s. But at that point in their careers, they have built up enough catalogs and songs where they can give a strong performance. In the 90s, they just starting out, getting their feet wet, learning how to perform, learning how to rock the mic, rock the stage, rock the crowd, that sort of thing. But when they in their 30s, in the 2000s, it seemed like I saw the best performances. Like I saw Nas at his best in the 2000s. I saw a lot of folks in the 2000s give their best shows, and I felt like that's when niggas are in their prime when it comes to performing when they in their 30s, if they came out like in the 90s and 80s. That's just my opinion on that. And I heard that De La Soul might be reuniting with Prince Paul. Prince Paul was the producer on like the first 2 albums. And I heard that they're going to reunite and do another album, a new album. They was supposed to, before Dave died, they was supposed to do an album where DJ Premier and Pete Rock was going to do all the production. I don't know what happened with that. Maybe they'll release whatever they got done in the future. But I'm hearing that they're going to do a new album with Prince Paul, which I'm very much looking forward to. You know, the old vets are keeping hip hop alive. They dropping nice albums for the most part. So that's it, man. That's my salute to De La Soul, giving De La Soul they daisies. I know I didn't mention too much about 3 Feet High and Rising. It is considered a classic. I can consider it a classic, but I don't listen to it as much as I listen to De La Soul Is Dead, Balloon Mind State, and Grind Day and Bionics. I don't listen to it as much as I listen to those albums. But it's still considered a classic. I like songs like, I like the original Buddy. I like the Magic Number joint. Jenny. What else? I like what else they got on there that I really still listen to? Say No Go, all that shit. But it just doesn't, to me, it didn't age as well as the others album did. So that's why I didn't mention it too much. But there you have it. Salute to De La Soul. Subscribe, like, and all that good shit, and I'm out.
Look, mission impossible to drop a few lines without dropping old times when Southern Hill was still a gold mine. When pistol grips was my shit and I sold mine. When Alias was not a show and they told mine. Elevate your mind with high quality THC infused products. BlackYeti.com. Black-Yeti.com.
CLB.